Love doesn't always follow logic, and sometimes it arrives when people least expect it. For Laura, love came later in life, and from thousands of miles away. When she introduced her much younger Turkish partner on 90 Day Fiancé, what she believed to be a beautiful second chance at happiness quickly turned into a storm of concern, doubt, and alarm from the people closest to her. Laura has always been open about wanting companionship. After past heartbreaks and failed relationships, she longed for someone who would make her feel desired, valued, and emotionally alive again. When she met her Turkish partner, their connection felt instant. Despite cultural differences and a significant age gap, Laura believed she had finally found the love she deserved. But that belief was soon challenged when her family learned the details of the relationship. The age difference alone left them stunned. Questions began forming almost immediately. Questions Laura wasn't prepared to answer. Why would a much younger man want to be with her? What were his true intentions? And was this relationship really built on love or something else entirely? As the cameras rolled, the excitement Laura once felt slowly collided with her family's growing unease. Their reactions weren't subtle. Shock turned into concern, and concern quickly escalated into fear. To them, this wasn't just an unconventional romance. It felt like a potential disaster waiting to happen. And as Laura proudly defended her relationship, her family couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong. As the relationship progressed, Laura's parents began noticing what they believed were red flags. Red flags that Laura either refused to see or chose to ignore. From the outside, the warning signs felt impossible to overlook. The cultural differences were vast, the expectations unclear, and the power dynamics unsettling. Her parents questioned whether her partner truly loved her, or whether he was drawn to the opportunities that came with being involved in an American woman. Concerns about money, visas, and long-term intentions dominated the conversations. Each discussion grew more tense than the last. Laura, however, stood her ground. She insisted that love doesn't come with rules, age limits, or cultural boundaries. To her, their bond was real, emotional, and deeply personal. She felt judged, not protected, and the more her family pushed back, the more isolated she began to feel. The family conversations became emotionally charged. Voices were raised, tears were shed. Painful questions were asked, and even more painful answers were avoided. Laura felt torn between trusting her heart and listening to the people who had known her entire life. Her parents weren't trying to control her. They were trying to save her from heartbreak. But to Laura, their concern felt like rejection. And in that emotional tug of war, the gap between them only grew wider. By this point, the relationship was no longer just about love. It had become a battle between faith and fear, hope and logic. As the tension reached its peak, Laura found herself at an emotional crossroads. The doubts she once brushed aside began creeping in quietly. Was her family overreacting, or were they seeing something she couldn't? The questions haunted her, even as she continued to defend her relationship publicly. Her parents issued their strongest warning yet. Not out of anger, but out of love. They made it clear they didn't trust her partner's intentions and feared she would be deeply hurt. Their message was simple but heavy. They didn't want to see her suffer. Meanwhile, fans of 90 Day Fiancé were just as divided. Some applauded Laura for choosing love and living life on her own terms. Others echoed her family's concerns, pointing out patterns that had ended badly for others before her. The age gap debate ignited once again, forcing viewers to question their own biases and beliefs. In the end, Laura's story became more than just another reality TV romance. It became a reminder of how complicated love can be, especially when it challenges social norms and family expectations. Whether Laura's Turkish love story will survive or collapse under the weight of doubt remains uncertain. But one thing is clear: when family alarm bells ring this loudly, ignoring them comes at a cost. Because sometimes the hardest part of love isn't falling for someone, it's knowing who to trust when everything is on the line. As Laura continued to defend her relationship, cracks slowly began to appear beneath her confidence. While she spoke boldly in front of her family and the cameras, there were moments when doubt flickered across her face. Small disagreements with her Turkish partner started to surface. Differences in expectations, communication styles, and emotional needs. What once felt like passion now occasionally felt like pressure. Laura found herself explaining and justifying her relationship more than enjoying it. The love she fought so hard to protect was beginning to feel like something she constantly had to prove. Her parents noticed the shift immediately. They saw the exhaustion in her eyes, the emotional weight she carried, and the way her excitement no longer sounded as certain as before. To them, this was confirmation that their fears were not misplaced. Still, Laura pushed forward, believing that every relationship has challenges and that true love requires sacrifice. Behind closed doors, the reality of the age gap became harder to ignore. Laura and her partner were at completely different stages of life. While Laura was thinking about stability, comfort, and long-term security, he seemed focused on control, expectations, and cultural traditions that often clashed with her independence. Moments of tension began to overshadow moments of affection. Conversations turned into arguments. Compromises felt one-sided, and slowly the fairy tale romance started to lose its shine. Laura's parents, watching from a distance, felt helpless. They had said everything they could say. The warnings had been given. Now all they could do was wait and hope that Laura would see the situation clearly before it was too late. For Laura, admitting doubt felt like admitting failure, and that was something she wasn't ready to do. As the relationship played out on screen, viewers began to notice the same red flags Laura's family had pointed out from the beginning. Social media exploded with opinions, debates, and concern. Some sympathized with Laura's desire to feel loved again. Others questioned whether she was ignoring reality in exchange for attention and affection. The pressure mounted. Laura was no longer just defending her relationship to her family. She was defending it to the world, and that pressure took a toll. The emotional distance between Laura and her parents remained, but their concern never faded. Despite the disagreements, one thing stayed constant: their fear of watching their daughter get hurt. And deep down, Laura knew that fear came from love. In the end, Laura's journey on 90 Day Fiancé became a powerful reminder that love is rarely simple. It can be thrilling, comforting, and hopeful, but it can also be blinding. When emotions run deep, logic often struggles to be heard. Laura stood by her Turkish love, even as the alarm bells rang louder than ever. Whether her decision will lead to lasting happiness or painful regret remains a question only time can answer. But one truth is undeniable. When family raises concerns not out of control but out of care, those warnings deserve to be heard. Laura's story isn't just about an age gap or a cross-cultural romance. It's about the difficult balance between following your heart and listening to the people who love you most. And sometimes the hardest lesson of all is learning when love is enough, and when it isn't. As the dust slowly settles, Laura's story remains one of the most emotionally charged journeys on 90 Day Fiancé. What began as a hopeful search for love turned into a powerful lesson about trust, vulnerability, and the cost of ignoring difficult truths. Laura wanted to believe that love alone could silence doubt, bridge age gaps, and overcome cultural divides. And for a time, that belief gave her strength. But love, when tested by reality, often reveals what hope tries to hide. Her parents' alarm bells were never meant to control her choices. They were cries of protection, warnings born not from judgment, but from experience. And whether Laura fully accepts those warnings or not, their concern stands as a reminder that family often sees what the heart refuses to acknowledge. In the world of 90 Day Fiancé, where love stories unfold under intense scrutiny, Laura's journey struck a deeper chord. It forced viewers to ask uncomfortable questions about power, intention, and the fine line between romance and risk. As Laura continues forward, her future remains uncertain. But one thing is clear: every decision she makes now carries the weight of lessons learned the hard way. Because when love asks you to choose between passion and protection, the answer is never easy. And sometimes the loudest alarm bells are the ones we wish we didn't have to hear.